My guess is probably just some rules with Sony and sexual content. There's a reason these rooms exist.
Maybe moderation problems? Yeah, maybe not getting certified or something because you can't be in a public room for more than 5 minutes without hearing a slur.
Sony wants to make their own VR chat. They want to make their own metaverse where you can pay $15 for a Kratos skin. They want you to pay $120 for an Ellie skin. That's what they want. They want to make their own VR chat where you got to pay for skins because microtransactions make money.
What people don't realize is PlayStation runs on Linux and VRChat does not work well with Linux, not even with the Proton overlay.
I feel like the Quest is more advanced. I'm right next to you.
When it comes to a social platform of any caliber on the internet, you're gonna get dodgier areas and side bits. VR chat's unique because obviously the virtual reality aspect. I don't think it would be so much the game's fault as more the platform will attract a variety of people, and obviously with people being people, they'll find ways to make things dodgy. But if you're an outsider looking in, you might see all these things as very nasty. And I think if you were kind of leading on to the PSVR thing, I think Sony would have concern with their company image being connected to a game like that. I think their primary concern genuinely is trying to get exclusives rather than porting over VR chat, because I mean some of the exclusives on that look sick. They've got Resident Evil Village coming.
I think probably because of the sheer amount of people that oops, I just hit my own the sheer amount of people that make their own worlds. I mean, you use Unity and all the other things, so I just feel like it would conflict too much. You know what I mean?
Well, I know PlayStation likes their exclusives, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want anyone putting mods and stuff into their console area. We saw the whole Fallout and Skyrim debacle, like how they didn't want the modded menu. So I think it's more of them wanting a more handle on the situation than anything.
What's your YouTube name? So you can probably cut this out a little bit too. Go subscribe to Humans in VR. Okay.
It could quite possibly be, because VR chat with all the content that's on it would have to be rated 18 plus, because it's borderline unmoderated in a private world, and then Sony would get upset. But even in publics, because there isn't enough moderation, I've seen lewd stuff happen in publics quite a lot that I've reported and nothing happens. Yeah, it doesn't happen as much now. They're definitely a lot better at it, but I suppose their rules are more as long as you don't do lewd stuff in public, it's fine. But obviously because of that being if you don't do it, it's fine, it's a very laid-back attitude, so people tend to do it anyway, and I suppose it's quite a struggle to moderate it that way.
Sony is all about the money. Do you know how much this suit costed me? Nothing. This suit costed me, in real life, it could cost me quite a little bit. Here, it's free. On Sony, I have to pay $1,500 for these shoes. I have to pay $20 for this tie, and a tie will only have 5 limited uses, and I got open my credit card again. But I'm an investor, buying land in virtual reality, it's an untapped market. You got to get in on it right now while you can. Han, you need a job? If you need a job, we're my construction company. We got some summit tier volunteer positions. You're all gonna come on. I have to get your boot size though. Get you some safety some construction boots. All right.
I'm good. I'll keep that in mind.
I do think, in all seriousness, I think buying land in virtual reality is going to be a real thing. The crypto bros already tried it. They tried selling crypto, making a crypto city.
Okay, technically, you can buy worlds in VR chat that people have already made.
That's true.
So technically, that's already a thing.
See, I'm so
buy
forward. My thinking is so forward ahead, it goes back in time. I already knew what's blown up. I know it's gonna blow up. I think school is a waste of time. I think getting a college degree, is a different conversation. But I'm saying, you put me up there with Harvard, the Harvard fellas.
Mm-hmm. To get this on Quest, they had to add a whole new set. Have you ever uploaded an avatar before? When you go to do it, you've got to set the build mode to Android to get it so that Quest users can see it. To make the game for PlayStation, they would probably actually have to report the game over to PlayStation. It would cost a lot of money, and I think their priorities might be on fixing some issues with the game. Not 100% sure though, but that would be my guess, is it's just a simple case of it would take a bit of time. Why it's not already on the first PSVR, the second one? Well, the reason, at least in my opinion, it wouldn't be on the first one is the first PSVR is very limited. VR chat is so unoptimized it can barely run on most desktop PCs.
Because PlayStation is I suppose it's quite a closed off platform. All console platforms are. So they might not have the... Well, I'm not going to say they don't have the money to do it. They probably definitely do. Suppose they just don't really have a motivation at the minute to port it to PSVR. I imagine PlayStation would love to have VR chat on. VR chat would love to be on PlayStation, but I imagine there's going to be quite a few restrictions with that. Especially with like PlayStation or Sony's restrictions on online play requiring PSN. I think it's called, where you have to like pay for PSN Plus. I suppose they would both love to have VR chat on the platform, but because of the rules around it, they probably can't do it. The technical implementation, because all of this being user generated, there's probably certain restrictions on what they can run on the PlayStation, and there could be restrictions on how things work, like shaders and custom scripts and whatnot, because PlayStation might not, or Sony might not be quite happy with that. I imagine they have some stuff against like running user code or whatever.
It would literally be a case of VRChat doesn't have a full port for Linux, and I kid you not, people will go wild if you had an actual port for Linux, or any form of support actually. With Linux, it's a case of demand. See, it's kind of a chicken or an egg situation. Game developers won't develop games for Linux systems simply because there's not enough demand, and people won't switch to Linux because there's not many games supported on Linux natively.
I would think they should have it on the PlayStation Store, but then again, I don't know how that data transfer would work, being that I know VRChat can be a little bit intensive and you can go through 20 gigabytes of cache in a day of use. So I guess that's another thing too, because like your whole Oculus experience versus the PC experience in VRChat can be different in a lot of aspects. So maybe they're trying to port everything when they try to do it for PlayStation.
I have an ex who was using Linux for a good 3 years, and then she started using VRChat and went back to Windows as her main driver. And it's kind of easier to go, hey, if people are willing to switch over to Windows, why put all this work in and just let a small minority be angry? It's the same with EAC, actually. I was there the day before EAC was kicked in, and then it became like everyone was looking like it's doomsday or whatever else, and we're all huddling. We're like, okay, where are we going to go next? Where are we going to go next? There's Chill Out and there's Neos.
Because I had watched a lot of VR gameplay, and especially a lot of VR chat. I suppose that's what mainly encouraged me to get VR in the first place, was just VR chat. Seeing people have fun, just having fun in general. It doesn't come across quite as well on like YouTube or just a 2D screen in general. Like when you come and like put a headset on for the first time and you get into this, it's just so much better than you'd really expect. Suppose it went further than my expectations, to be honest. I thought it would have been something that maybe I'd play maybe 3 or 4 times tops, because I play it a lot on desktop, and the social aspect, it works, but not as well as in VR. So from my desktop experience originally, I would have maybe thought, I'll play it a bit, but I've got way more hours in VR now than I ever did on desktop, and it's definitely unique. It's being able to like actually, like what I'm doing now, it makes it feel more human in a way. Like everything, it's like talking to real people. Like being able to see their gestures and stuff like that is just incredible to me. If you haven't tried VR yet, and there's one of those like VR arcade places around, like it could just give it a go. See what you think. You might like it more than you would have thought.
Can I ask, by the way, are you inspired by a YouTube channel that does Humans of VR? What, really? No, I watch that channel all the time. No, you're pulling my leg. High future me when I actually go to watch this.
Kindness is contagious. When you are kind, you inspire others. Be the spark. Spreading kindness merchandise available now.